Welcome back to Math 103. This is video number 22 on fair division. We are ready for Lauren, the chooser, to make her selections. First, Lauren looks at Kelly's 3 subshares and sees that each one is worth 1.5 Lauren points from Lauren's point of view. Okay, so Lauren looks only at her point scheme when she makes this evaluation, but she has to respect where Kelly has drawn the boundary lines. Which one does she select? Well, Lauren values each of these equally, so it doesn't really matter which one she selects. So let's hold off deciding on this until we see which one of Jason's subshares she's actually going to select. Now, Jason's subshares are not equally valuable to her, so let's actually compute exactly how valuable they are. J1 consists of half of May. Okay, all of May would be 1 Lauren point, so that's half a point there, plus a whole point from June, plus a whole Lauren point from July, so that's 2.5 points total, 2.5 Lauren points. J2, that's 1 point from all of August, 1 point from all of September, and half of 3 points from half of October, so this is 1.5 points right here, 1.5 Lauren points, for a total of 3.5 Lauren points. 1 plus 1 plus 1.5 is 3.5. Finally, J3, mid-October through the end of December, you've got the other 1.5 Lauren points from the second half of October, so that's 1.5, plus 3 Lauren points from all of November, plus another 3 Lauren points from all of December. That makes a total of 1.5 plus 3 is 7.5 Lauren points for J3. There is no doubt which subshare she's going to want to take from Jason, and that is J3. So Lauren will take mid-October through December from Jason. That means that Jason will have mid-May through mid-October. So we have to go back and just check which is she going to take from Kelly. Well, it could be any one of Kelly's subshares. It would be nice to Kelly if Lauren would take January through mid-February. The method does not strictly require this, but it would save Kelly some hassle if she could have this unbroken block of time from mid-February to mid-May. So let's say that Lauren will take K1, which also would work out nicely for Lauren in case this was a year-to-year arrangement, not just a single year, but 1 year to the next. That would give her mid-October going all the way around the New Year's to the following mid-February. What we just did using that table is perfectly fine. It does a perfectly good job of thinking through Lauren's decision-making process. So we've already figured out who exactly is going to get what. Nonetheless, I just wanted to illustrate this table is a nice way of recording all the information explicitly in terms of everyone's point schemes and evaluations. This will be helpful when we answer the last roundup question for this problem. I also wanted to point out that Lauren would certainly take J3 from Jason. She wishes she could also take J2, but she can't. This is very important. This is crucial to why the method works. She has to take only one subshare from Jason, because if she took 2, then what would that leave Jason with? Okay, that would leave him with only 1 subshare, and that's not going to be enough for him. That's not going to be enough Jason points to give him a fair share. In fact, this example was deliberately set up to illustrate this point. Right? The chooser takes 1 subshare from each subdivider, and that's it. Okay? So in the end, each player ends up with exactly 2 subshares at the end of the day. Each subdivider ends up with 2 of his or her own subshares. The last question we can be asked in a lone chooser problem is to describe the final fair division of the year. That means explicitly stating which months each player gets, and furthermore indicating the value of the player's share as a fraction of how they value the entire year. So Jason is getting shares J1 and J2. Each one is worth 2.5 Jason points, out of a total of 12 Jason points, according to his estimation of the whole year's value. Right? So he regards his share as worth 5 Jason points out of 12 Jason points total for the year. That's 5/12. That's fantastic. That's more than a third, and he's happy. 4/12 would have been adequate. 4/12 would have been exactly a third. He's getting a bonus. So that's terrific. Kelly is getting K2 and K3. That was mid-February through mid-May, and that's worth a total of 3 Kelly points out of 9 total, or exactly a third of the value of the entire year. Now, that's not surprising at all, that she gets exactly a minimum fair share. This will always happen when you apply the lone chooser method. The first divider only ever divides. Kelly only ever divided. She divided in the first round, and then she subdivided, so all she ever did was to divide. She never chose. Right? So since she's only ever dividing into equally valuable pieces, she'll get exactly a minimum fair share. That's always the case with this method. The first divider gets exactly a minimum fair share. Lauren, finally, ends up with shares K1 and J3, so that's January through mid-February and mid-October through December, worth 1.5 Lauren points for what she took from Kelly, plus 7.5 Lauren points for what she took from Jason. That adds up to 9 Lauren points out of 18 for the whole year. That's half the value of the whole year. So Lauren is very happy with this arrangement. As predicted, everyone gets a fair share. If anyone received less than 1/3 of their valuation of the entire year, you would know you had made a mistake. For additional practice with this important method, go back to the beginning of the same problem and redo it using the lone chooser method, but this time supposing that Kelly is the chooser and Lauren is the first divider. You can find the results of this process in the textbook in the solution to Try It Now number 9 in the chapter on fair division. Our last question for this entire chapter is how we can adapt the lone chooser method to 4 players or more players. In other words, what if Jason, Kelly, and Lauren finished dividing the year, and then a 4th player, Mark, showed up also having an equal claim to a share of the goods? So suppose that Jason, Kelly, and Lauren have just finished applying the lone chooser method. What should they do now to accommodate Mark's claims? Well, they should each subdivide their current share into 4 equally valuable subshares. Why 4 equally valuable subshares? That way Mark will select 1 from Jason, 1 from Kelly, 1 from Lauren. He'll have 3 subshares. Jason will be left with 3 subshares. Kelly will be left with 3, and Lauren will be left with 3. Everyone will have 3 subshares at the end of the day. In principle, this works completely fine. In practice, this starts getting messy. In practice, it gets to be difficult to have blocks of time that are all held by one person, so you end up with many different changeovers during the year, which is not ideal. But if you do apply this method for 4 players, then once you've accommodated those 4 players, you can introduce a 5th player, say Nancy. How? By having each of Jason, Kelly, Lauren, and Mark subdivide into 5 equally valuable subshares for each player. Nancy will then pick 1 subshare from each of the 4, so she'll have 4 subshares, and each of these guys will be left with 4 subshares. So this works for 5 players, and in the same way it can be extended to any number of players. So that's the one really good thing that Lone Chooser has going for it, that Lone Divider doesn't, that you can handle any number of players with the Lone Chooser method without having to go back to the beginning and start over when a new player is added.